Hi everyone, for today's video, I'm going to be talking about my favorite brushes that I use for the face. So that's foundation, concealer, camouflage, and powder. Although I have to say that I actually prefer to use a sponge when I am applying or blending foundation, concealer, and sometimes camouflage on the face. And when I need to set them, I actually use a velour puff when doing that. But on the occasion that I use brushes, these are my go-to. For applying foundations, I actually prefer to use brushes like these. These are typical foundation brushes. This actually is a very old Laura Mercier cheek brush, but I love using it to apply foundation. But to me, it doesn't really matter what brand your foundation brush comes from, because to me, foundation brushes are just actually my vehicles that I use to apply the foundation on my face. Now when I want to blend it, I actually get a stippling brush like this, and I just use this to spread the product evenly. Now this is a very big stippling brush. I think this is a MAC 187. Is it a 187? I can't remember anymore because the label is actually already removed from use after all these years. But I actually prefer to use this brush when I want to have a sheer application of foundation on the face, because the bristles are actually longer and it's not very dense, so it spreads the product fairly easily. So if I want to add more, I get the foundation brush that I use, and then I just apply it on the areas where I want coverage, and then I blend it further. So I'm actually back in my home here in Metro Manila because work called me here. So I'm going to be here for a few weeks to see if everything goes well. But if not, I would have to go back to the province because I would need to pick up my partner and bring our dogs back here. Hopefully everything, starts getting back to normal, or at least, work starts rolling, even if it's very, very slow, because I do really miss the studio. Super. And I miss working. Okay, now that this brush has sheared out the foundation and it has created an even skin tone on my face, if ever I do decide that I want to create more coverage on a certain spot on my face, I would get a much more denser brush like this. So this is from Hakuhodo. As you can see, it's very, very dense and it's very, very short. So this should pack in a lot of product into a specific part of the face that you want to. So for example, if I want to pack more color here on my nose, because I still have the scar here, I could use this brush. You can actually use this brush on certain parts of the face, like if you have extra redness, or if you have like some blemishes, like a very big spot of a blemish on your face, you can actually use this and you can blend it. So you can just, pat it in. This will help you get more coverage in the areas of the face that you want. So I'm actually shooting in a different part of my home today because for some strange reason, there's so much going on in the village and there's so much noise. So I'm actually in my bedroom right now and I'm just doing the best that I can. And I'm just, working with what I have in terms of natural lighting. When I'm happy with my foundation and its coverage, I actually proceed to putting on blush, but I have a different video for that, so I'm gonna put a link down to that below and you guys can check that out. But first, what I would like to do is I'd like to put on some concealer. So for concealers, I actually use a synthetic brush like this. It's quite tapered and this is made of Taklon. This is from Laura Mercier and this is for their camouflage. And I like using this because it's tapered to a point, and if I need to get into the inner corners of my eyes, I can use this. I'm just patting it and spreading it evenly. And I'm applying here at the outer corner because I just want to lighten that part up, just to help create a lift in my eye. I'm sure you can see that now. And when I want to blend that, I get this synthetic blending brush and I just buff everything out very lightly and very gently. And when I'm happy with that, I just get the foundation brush that I used earlier and I just blend them together so that it's very, very seamless. There. Now, when I want to cover blemishes and, certain scars on my face, depends on how big they are. It varies. I actually play between these brushes that I have here. They're all synthetic, and then one is made out of horsehair. Now, if I have a very big area that I need to cover, I use this. And then if the area is very, very small, I tend to use smaller brushes for that. So for example, I have a blemish here, and I actually do the pinpoint concealing. I've been doing that for a long time, and then when I started watching videos of Lisa Eldridge about her pinpoint concealer, I was able to hone it some more. So this is actually very, very great because you don't have to pile a lot of product onto your skin. So this is just a very simple art brush that you can buy in National Bookstore. And if I want to cover a bigger blemish, I actually use this brush. This is actually for painting kimonos. So on the main reason why I like using this is because it's actually flat on the top portion of the brush, and it really helps in create the right layering of product, and it does really help you cover your blemishes. And it also helps me to cover my scar. So let's see. Okay, here's a better angle. So you just dab it on, and you can see that it really helps to cover my ring light scar on my nose. I do apologize for the lighting, guys. The majority of the light is coming out from this part, so it's creating shadows. But let's work with what we have. Okay, now when I set foundation, concealers, and camouflage on the face, I don't use one big powder brush for that. I actually prefer to set them in parts. So I usually start by setting the concealers. So I use a flat brush like this. It's loaded with powder now. And the reason why I like doing this is because it really helps in not moving the product around the skin. And it also really helps to set the concealers because you're not moving it around anywhere and you're just patting it on. So that really helps. Now, especially if you're setting blemishes and camouflage products, this really helps because you can just press it on the part where you put the camouflage. And because this brush is so small, it can fit into like the inner corner of the eye, you know, on the sides of the nose. And you can be very specific with your powder application. Like, I mean, you can even do it around the eyebrows. Okay, things like that. Now, if I want to add powder over the face, I go back to the stippling brush that I have here. This is from MAC. So I have like multiple brushes that I use. Now, I like using this brush because it just adds a very sheer amount of powder on the face. So it doesn't really pack on the powder, which I do love. And it also helps in removing any of the excess powder that you've applied earlier. Now, if I want to add on a layer of powder, I actually use this very old Laura Mercier blush brush. It's not in the market anymore, but it really does help, you know, because it packs on so much. And I do like that it's a very small brush because it can help me get into the hard to reach areas of the face. So it's actually been a while that I've used brushes to set foundation with, and I've just bought the sky blue set from Hakuhodo, and if you have a brush like this, you can actually use this to remove any excess powder, or you can use this to add a very sheer application of powder all over the face. Now, the thing with me is when I am buying brushes, I make sure that they are multi-purpose. Like for example, this brush, the reason why I bought it is because I know that I can use this for setting powders, for removing excess powder on the face, or for using this for bronzers. Now, for applying foundations, I use stippling brushes like this. This is from Hakuhodo, Koyudo, and MAC. Now, I can use this with liquid foundations, cream foundations, even for cream and liquid blushes. These are very multi-purpose products, and I can even use them for powders, you know. What I'm trying to say is that you can actually use a brush in any way that you want. So it doesn't matter if you're using blush brushes to apply powder, it's still the same. So that's it for me today. I hope that this video was helpful and insightful. And if you have any more questions about my favorite brushes that I use for the face, please leave them down at the comments box below and let's have a conversation about this. And as I've said earlier, I have a video for my favorite brushes that I use for blushes, contouring, and highlighting. I'm gonna put a link down below and please do check that out. And I also have a video for my favorite eyeshadow brushes. Please do check that out. Thank you so much for watching and I hope that you're having a good day wherever you are.